Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to the Eliminator Round finale here at the Phoenix International Raceway for round number 35 of the year for the NASCAR Spring Up Series season. We are bringing you live coverage of the Can-Am 500, a 30-lap race that will conclude the Eliminator Round, and we will set the Final Four for next weekend championship Final Four battle at Homestead Miami Speedway. I'm Rick Burton giving you live coverage of today's 30-lap events, and we have the two of our chasers on the front row, the two of Brad Keselowski and the 41 of Kurt Busch. Now, they had the biggest task of all of our chasers in the field because they are 25 and 30 points behind the cutoff to advance in the Final Four. Not mathematically a must-win race for either driver, but realistically, only shot they really have at making the Final Four realistically is to win, and they are on the front row, Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch. Now, as we jump back to row 2, we have the 17 Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the 10 of Regan Smith, two non-chasers, just looking to have a good run of maybe trying to get a win here today in the desert. And then row 3, two drivers who have a pretty good shot at making the Final Four. Kevin Harvick, 9 points to the good. Kyle Busch, 2 points behind the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, who starts directly behind him on the outside lane. So, some other drivers who in the field are running for the title. Casey Kane, the 5. The 11 of Denny Hamlin. And let's see who else. The 22 of Joey Logano, but Logano, who wasn't here in the spring, by the way, is already locked in. He will race for the title next weekend. We've already set the Final Four for the Xfinity Series in the NASCAR Kid Bureau Truck Series, but it's time to find out your Final Four for the 2016 NASCAR Spring Up Series Chase. And it's all good, and it's going to begin right here. But first, we need the starting command to fire up these engines.
Drivers, start your engines!
And now the pace car will lead the field onto the track. The 42 starters here at Phoenix. The Can-Am 500, the Eliminator race for the Eliminator round. And we have the two of Brad Keselowski. Competed in yesterday's Xfinity race, scored a top 5 finish. Did he learn anything from that race that he can carry over to his Cup car and possibly win and get in to that Final Four? But some guys who do not want these two guys to win, the 2 and the 41, are the 18 of Kyle Busch and the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. They are right now 2 points out and 2 points in that Final Four. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick on row 3, they made it to the Final Four last year. But they come from turn 4. 3 spots are open for 7 drivers. They come from turn 4. Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch. We're underway at the Phoenix International Raceway. And a very slow start on the outside line for the 41 of Kurt Busch. He does not get going. And moving to the inside comes the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide, so far so good. And there goes this 26 Armstrong off course in the grass, back up the track, takes out 2 of the cars. The caution will wave for the first time this afternoon on lap number 1. So we did not even go a full lap until the first yellow came out. And Brad Keselowski, leader Kurt Busch, Regan Smith, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and the 4 of Kevin Harvick. That is your top 5. Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, and Brian Vickers. Your top 10, the 26 Dakota Armstrong. You saw him. He got turned on the nose of another car, went down in the grass, came back up track with too much speed. And the 2 drivers who were the victims were 2 of our double duty drivers, the 32 of Joey Gase and the 98 of Blake Cook, involved in our first caution today here in turn 3 and 4. And it really starts right here off turn 2, and it's going to be the 98 Blake Cook who makes the contact with Armstrong. Looks at the inside, gets Dakota loose, comes back up the track, and once Dakota's car hit that grass, it's like that Winfield Toyota Camry just sped up, and Gase and Cook along with the 26 is able to refire their car, and Armstrong looks to be off pace and appears that he got the worst amount of damage for the BK Racing Rookie of the Year contender, Dakota Armstrong, who will not be back at this team in 2017. You saw in the Xfinity driver chart video, Dakota Armstrong will be moving back to the Xfinity Series next season with JGO Racing. So he does have a future, but not with BK Racing after 2016. And you saw right there, he went behind the wall. So Armstrong's day here at Phoenix is over on lap number 1. And you see the lights are out on top of the pace car, meaning we are going back green, this time by Brad Keselowski, leading the 41 of Kurt Busch. 3 Stuart Haas Chevrolets inside the top 5. Kurt Busch, Regan Smith, and Kevin Harvick. In the middle, the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. having a nice run in his Zest Ford Fusion. Right now, the final 4, it is currently at Logano, Hamlin, Harvick, and Keselowski, because he is your current leader, and we're back underway. Brad Keselowski leads us back down into turn 1. But Kurt Busch knows that it's really his only realistic shot at making that final 4 is to win this afternoon. And right now, second place, he sees that championship right in front of him right now. Regan Smith, Stenhouse, and Harvick, Kyle Busch, Johnson, Kane, Newman, and Vickers. First battle on track, the 78 Truex, a nice run off the corner, gets to the inside of the 22 Logano, getting into turn 1. Behind Truex is the one of Jamie McMurray in that Cessna Chevrolet. Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Ryan Blaney, AJ Allmendinger, Kyle Larson, and the 88 of Dale Jr. Look through the let the rest of the field rep back in here. Blake Cook and Joey Gase are still on track, but one driver behind the wall, the 26 of Dakota Armstrong. See, Harvick, you can tell Harvick is quicker than Stenhouse, and Stenhouse appears to be quicker than the 10 of Regan Smith. And it is hard to pass here at Phoenix. This is not one of those tracks where you can just make a pass just like that. You really have to work for it. And right now, nobody really making a move inside the top 10. The first battle on track back here. Kyle Larson going by the 88 of Dow Jr., who gets in the wall off turn 4. Allows Clint Boyd to have a nice run getting into turn 1 on the inside. And Boyer will take that spot away. Move Boyer up into 21st. Jr. down to 22nd. Now Hamlin moving by the 1 of McMurray to move himself into 13th place. But McMurray had a pretty nice run to get himself to block that 11 of Hamlin into turn 3. And Kurt Busch. You can tell a driver is holding up a group of cars when there is a big gap in front of that driver and the car ahead of them, and they're going to make contact. Smith sideways. Smith got help from the 17 of Stenhouse, allows Kurt Busch to drive away, and allows Harvick to get to the outside of the 17. Contact between Regan Smith and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and now here comes the 4 of Kevin Harvick on the outside lane. Kyle Busch on the inside. Right now, if Keselowski or Kurt Busch do not win, this would be the final 4 battle between the 48 and the 18. Right now, there's a 1-point difference between the 48 and the 18. But that does not matter if Keselowski or Kurt Busch wins this race, or Casey Kane. Haven't really talked that much about Casey Kane, but right now he is 9 points out of the cutoff, and right now running 8th. It just doesn't seem to be going Casey Kane's way right now in the 5. Look through the outside of the top 25. Chase Elliott qualified 34th in that Napa Chevrolet. Side by side up here, Vickers on the inside of the 22 of Logano. Logano trying to complete the pass on the outside line. Up ahead, Ryan Newman, Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson. And last time by, the 2 car was quicker than Kurt Busch. Brad Keselowski driving away, and he has right now almost a second lead on the 41 of Kurt Busch. And it's 20 to go this time by for the 2 of Brad Keselowski. It'll be 19 to go this time by. Kurt Busch, Regan Smith, Kevin Harvick, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And Harvick faster than the 10 of Smith. And here he goes to the inside and on the front straight away in the turn number 1. Smith gives away on the outside, opens up the inside for Kevin Harvick, and Harvick will most likely complete the pass. Harvick has 3 wins in 2016. or I'm sorry, 4 wins, I believe, in 2016. Last one at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. Still trying to complete the pass on the 10 of Smith. And we are under caution once again. Brad Keselowski wins the battle at the line. And this time it's involving another double-duty driver, Alex Bowman. Running 37 of that at the time brings out our second yellow of the day here on lap 12. And it's going to be similar to what we saw on lap 1 with Blake Cook and Dakota Armstrong, where this time really starts getting into turn 1 and it finishes off turn 2. Brett Moffitt trying to complete the pass on the inside lane of Alex Bowman. And they're going to make some contact pretty much on the entrance of turn 1, and it carries throughout the entire corner and really finishes him off turn number 2. And Michael Lynette runs right in the back of Moffitt. They both drive away, and so does Alex Bowman, but tough break for the number 7. And here comes Blake Cook, nearly, just barely misses that number 7 to Bowman. But what this does is this is not what Brad Keselowski wanted to see. He knows that Ford Kevin Harvick is faster than Regan Smith and Kurt Busch. So it's just Harvick get by these two Stewart-Haas Chevrolets, which are teammates. Harvick could get up here and keep this 2 car from running himself into that final 4. Because Kevin Harvick thinks Brad Keselowski is a big threat to win this championship. Brad Keselowski leads Kurt Busch, Regan Smith, Kevin Harvick, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Cannon, Ryan Newman, and Joey Logano. Brian Vickers, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Jay McMurray, and Matt Kenseth. Carl Edwards, A.J. Allmendinger, Ryan Blaney, Clint Bowyer, and Kyle Larson. Tony Stewart currently right now in 22nd, making his final start at Phoenix. The only Stewart-Haas Racing Chevrolet not inside the top 5. The other 3 inside the top 4. And once again, Keselowski gets a great jump on the 41 of Kurt Busch. And we are just now past the halfway point in this race. And right now, time is running out for guys like Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson and Casey Kane to make anything happen. Kurt Busch unable to keep pace with the 2 of Keselowski, and we are again back under caution very quickly right after we went back green, this time involving the 29 of Brian Scott, the rookie out of RCR. Brian Scott moving to Richard Petty Motorsports in 2017, and this is the same thing what we saw the past 2 times. The 24 Chase Elliott, much quicker than David Reagan, gets into the left rear corner panel of the 55, turns him down the track into Brian Scott, an innocent bystander who slams the outside safer barrier on the back straightaway, and Scott was running 26th at the time. It's been just an abysmal year for that number 29 team of Brian Scott. Had a lot of high hopes after some solid runs in the what was the NASCAR Nationwide Series in Xfinity now. Had some high hopes, but just has not went down in 2016 for Brian Scott at Richard Childress Racing. And now Brad Keselowski will have to deal with another restart. He was able to drive away from Kurt Busch that last one because Kurt Busch just has been spinning his tires all afternoon. Regan Smith, Kevin Harvick, and Stenhouse. Busch, Johnson, Kane, Newman, and Logano. Now let's go back and talk about should Smith or Harvick or Stenhouse win this race and keep Keselowski or Kurt Busch or both from winning this race. They will not advance, and the Harvick, Logano, and Hamlin would be in, but that last spot would be between this 18 of Kyle Busch and the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. And this time Busch keeps pace with the 2 of Keselowski. 13 to go. Now 12 to go for Brad Keselowski. Can he hang on? Down the back straightaway. Let's go deeper in the field and see if he was making some gains. Landon Cash on the inside of Elliott Sadler. Casey Mears in 31st. Michael McDowell 32nd. Almirola up the track in turn 3. Elliott gets by on the inside. Dillon kind of slow off the corner off turn number 4. And we complete that lap under the green flag. But now here comes Kevin Harvick for 3rd place. On the inside of teammate Regan Smith in the 10 car. And Smith is holding up his teammate Harvick. You know, Harvick does not want that 2-car to advance in that final 4, and Smith is continuing to make it worse, and we are again under yellow for the 4th time today. Cautions will breed cautions, and that is what we're seeing right now. Back under the yellow flag, and this time possibly involving the 34 of Brett Moffitt. And we're going to go back and look at what happened here. I don't even know what happened. And it is going to involve another RCR Chevrolet off turn 4, Paul Menard. Running 26, just like Brian Scott, his teammate. Menard spins by the 16 of Greg Biffle. Menard spins but does a great job keeping it off the inside wall and gets it back going. And Menard will be able to restart 29th as he was able to spin across the line without losing too much time. So now that gives Kurt Busch another shot, but this is really hurting Kevin Harvick because he is unable to get around that 10 of Regan Smith, who is continuing to hold Harvick up. Should Smith let Harvick go, could Harvick, but then again, that would hurt Kurt Busch's shot at winning the title, or not winning the title, but advancing to the final 4. Come from turn 4, we're back underway. Keselowski, another great restart for the 2-car. And with Keselowski leading, there's just nothing. Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Casey Kane, there's just nothing they can do at this point. I mean, they need that 10-car to win this race, or the 4. And Smith putting pressure on that 41 of Kurt Busch. But they need this race to go green. They just can't keep having these guys continuing to try to wreck each other off the corner. That's what we've been seeing all afternoon, or at least the last couple of laps. And Truex, Hamlin, McMurray, Kenseth all going by the 15 of Brian Vickers. And look at this, I mean, just nose to tail, Stewart Haas Chevrolets, Kurt Busch, Regan Smith, and Kevin Harvick. I believe Harvick may be the only... Oh, Harvick got loose in turn number 3. The track goes to 4, Harvick loses his momentum, and now Smith had a pretty good run off turn 4, but not enough to get alongside the 41. Now Harvick overjumped turn 1 again, maybe trying to find a little bit of speed up top in the corners. Kurt Busch sees his second NASCAR Spring Up Series championship driving away from him. Kurt Busch sees that trophy on the rear end of that 2 of Brad Keselowski. 6 to go, this time by for the 2-car. He won the pole, has been fast all weekend long. After 2 bad runs, finds himself 25 points behind Jimmy Johnson entering this weekend. And he knew that really his only shot, realistic shot, was to win this race. And now Harvick all on the back bumper of Regan Smith. Once again, he gets to the inside, but can he complete the pass? And this time I think he may actually get Regan Smith. Oh, I don't know. Regan Smith finally back on the outside again. And again, Smith holds up the 4. Harvick, he holds on to 3rd place. It's Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Regan Smith, Harvick and Stenhouse, Kyle Busch, Johnson, Kane, Newman, and Truex. Denny Hamlin, Logano, Vickers, McMurray, Kenseth, Edwards, Boyer, Allmendinger, Elliott, and Ryan Blaney. But the question is, will we see another yellow? Brad Keselowski just does not want to see a yellow flag. The first thing Brad wants to see right now is that white flag. That white flag, if that white flag is displayed, that automatically makes it impossible for these guys to have another restart, because this race will end as they race back to the line. And Harvick has been trying to get around this 10-car, but Regan Smith just is able to get a nice launch off turn number 2, which has been helping him all afternoon. And Kurt Busch now got a little bit of car leaks between himself and the 10 of Smith. And how about a great run, a great drive, a great afternoon for that 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Right now running inside the top 5. Is 2 to go for Brad Keselowski. With this new Chase format, Keselowski has never made the Final 4. his teammate Joey Logano has. Logano has already clinched a spot in the Final Four with his win at Martinsville a couple of weeks ago. Off turn 4, the white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski to clinch a spot in the championship Final Four 2 years ago. Kevin Harvick in the same position had to win this race to advance, and Harvick went on to win the title. Could this be another repeat? But with Brad Keselowski, they come from the final corner. He'll join his teammate Logano and run for the title next weekend at Homestead. Brad Keselowski wins at Phoenix. Brad Keselowski wins, which means Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Kasey Kahne will not advance into the championship Final Four. Busch will end up 6th, Johnson 7th, Kasey Kahne, Truex, and Denny Hamlin is able to crack a top 10 after what was really a long day for most of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota team. But there is your winner, Brad Keselowski. His 3rd win of 2016, and it comes at a great time here at Phoenix. A must-win race pretty much for the Miller Lite Ford team. And apparently running yesterday's Xfinity race paid off. He got possibly got a little bit of help from that race, and that carried him into today's Cup race and got him a win here at Phoenix. His first win here in the desert for Brad Keselowski. So the Final Four is set for all 3 series. 3 more races to go in 2016. The NASCAR Camping Truck Series, which has Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell battling for the title. Then next Saturday night, we have Ryan Truex, Eric Jones, Ty Dillon, and Daniel Suarez battling for the Xfinity title. And then next Sunday night, 1 week from today, you'll have the Final Four NASCAR Spring Up Series drivers running for the title. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin. That is your Final Four for 2016. It's been an incredible year, and we are planning on having an incredible ending for the 2016 NASCAR mock season. Until next weekend, we'll see you next weekend at the Homestead Miami Speedway. On your screen, your results in your Chase grid after the Eliminator Round finale here at Phoenix. Congratulations to the whole Team Penske organization. Brad Keselowski advances into the championship Final Four.